Hey guys, Hayden here again from Alarm System Store, and today we're coming back to the IQ panel again. And today I'm going to be running through some local automation you can do just from the panel itself. It does have a ZWave card built in as part of the communicator, which does work with alarm.com if you have their service and their automation. But if you just want to run a few devices and you just want to do it locally from the panel, you can do so. So what I have here today is a Domatec dimmable ZWave light bulb. This basically just connects directly to a ZWave controller. You can dim it, you can turn it on and off, and that's pretty much it. It's just a light bulb. The second thing I have is a ZWave switch, so it actually plugs into the wall, and then you get one ZWave outlet, and you get one full size or full power outlet at all times. So once this is plugged into the wall, if you have something you need to power all the time, stick it in here, and then you can use this for whatever you want to control with your local automation. So to show you what to do on the system, we're first going to bring down our little menu and go into these settings, and then we need to go into the advanced settings. So you will need the installer code or the dealer code. The default installer code is 1111. So you can type that in. And then we need to go to installation, devices, and then ZWave devices there in the middle. And once we are here, this is the whole ZWave menu. So this allows you to add, delete, re-provision. If there's failed nodes, you can diagnose it, things like that. But to add a new device, you're going to click on Add Device here, and then you'll have to click Include. And this puts the panel in Learn mode. So that means right now it is searching for a ZWave device. So we need to trigger one of these devices to pair with the panel. So over here I have a little light stand, and I have an outlet that has a heater next to it that we're going to be plugging into this. And now I'm just going to cancel this because it does time out. So
net operation canceled.
But basically what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go screw this light bulb into its socket, and then I'm going to go plug this in and get the heater plugged in and get everything ready to enroll on the panel, and then we'll run through it. Alright, so I got everything plugged in. So now we're going to start including these devices onto our IQ panel. And each ZWave device is a little bit different. Check the manual for whatever ZWave device you get. It'll show you how to trigger it, it'll show you how to remove it, and it'll show you, if need be, how to factory default it. If you're ever having trouble with a ZWave device enrolling or getting it to work properly, always do a factory reset first. Every ZWave device has one. Do that reset and then re-enroll it, and then try it again, and typically that fixes most issues with ZWave. Unless it's a signal thing, and then you might need to add a repeater, but anyway, we'll get into that in another video eventually. But today, now that I got these set up, we're just going to go include them. And for the light bulb, to include it, all you have to do is turn it on. So the light stand that I have has a little cord switch, so I'm going to go flip it after I press include on here, and then you'll see the light flash, and that will indicate that it picked up the panel. And then we'll come back to the panel and take a look and see what it says. So, as I mentioned, we're just going to trigger the device. And there's the flash. So, as you can see, it picked up the device, and now it is showing us an ID number for it, which just shows the number of ZWave devices that have been enrolled. So normally it just goes to the next number. I've had a few devices on here and taken them off, so it's already at 6. So that's where we're going to pick up. It shows the type of ZWave device that it is, and it's a light, which is correct. And then the last thing is the name. So you can name this whatever you want. There is a custom name option. There's some built-in names if you want to use those. But basically just name it what you want. And then over here on the right, there is simple automation you can do using the IQ panel. So there's a night evening and front door option. The night and evening work very similarly. They both turn on at 7 p.m. So that means if either one of those is set at 7 p.m., whatever devices you have set for that will turn on. And if you're using the night mode, they will stay on until 6 a.m. If you're using the evening mode, they will stay on until 11 p.m. So if you have, lights that you want to automate in that fashion, you are more than welcome to do so. The last option, the front door, what that does is if you have a front door lock that is Z-Wave connected to this panel, you can tie these lights to that front door lock. So if you activate the front door lock, it will turn on the light for 15 minutes. So it can be handy for like an entry light or even a porch light, something like that. But basically, as soon as you trigger that front door lock, it is going to activate that light for 15 minutes as well, and then it'll turn back off. So unfortunately, I can't really show you those automation setups. I don't have a lock, and I'm not here till 7 p.m. every night, so I would just change the system time, but since I have it connected to alarm.com already, it's going to auto-update, and it's not going to let me make a custom time, basically. So unfortunately, I can't show these, but they're pretty simple in what they do. Like I said, evening and night, trigger at 7 p.m., night turns off at 6 a.m., evening turns off at 11 p.m., and front door activates when a front door lock is triggered and will stay active for 15 minutes. So I'm just going to leave it as none for now because I'm just kind of showing
Light is added to network successfully.
how this part works. So it tells you that it was added successfully, and now we can include our second device. So on the switch, there's a button on the top of it that you press, and that'll trigger the enrollment. So I'm going to press include. I'm going to go over to the device. And as you can see, triggering it also turned on the heater there, but the panel picked it up. And now we are on ID 7. So it does think that this switch is a light, and typically, for the most part, you are going to use Z-Wave switches for lights. Some are rated for appliances, so they're rated for heavier power consumption, but for the most part, almost every switch is designed to work with light automation. So that's what it calls it, even though technically it is a switch. Same thing applies. You can custom name it if you want, choose one of those pre-made names, and then you have the same automation actions for those. So once you're done, we already have a light, so we need to change the name. Can't have two lights. I'm actually going to custom name this switch real quick. That way we can tell the difference.
Switch is added to network successfully.
And once they are added, now we can play around with the home screen and see what the Qolsys allows you to do. So, real quick, if you guys do need to edit devices or clear devices, whatever the case may be, you can come back to this Z-Wave devices page, and right here is edit device, and it just brings up this. You can change the name, you can change all that. And then if you go to clear device, it works very similarly to learning in a device, but basically you trigger the device to be unlearned from the panel. So we're not going to do that, but that is how it would be done. And if a device fails for whatever reason, there is a delete failed device setup. There's a remove all devices. So, if you're having trouble, like I said, remove the device if possible, and then factory reset. If it's not possible to unenroll, you may have to do the factory reset and then wait for the device to show up as failed, and then you can come in here and delete failed device and then re-enroll it. But anyway, we're gonna go back to the home screen now. And now on the home screen, we have an additional front page card. and this one is just for ZWave devices. Technically, this one is just for lights since it added that switch as a light. So if you can see there, if I select the light and I click off, if it actually clicks, there we go, it turns the light off. And then if we click it again, we can turn it on. You can also set the dimmer level with this slider bar as well. So you can turn it down, turn it back up, put it right where you want it. And then on the switch, same thing applies. Turn the switch off, and then turn the switch back on. Now, this setup, I mean, let's say you had, you know, like a little workshop in your garage. If you wanted, you could set up, if you had a door lock on it, you could use that front door automation. And basically, anytime you went out there, trigger a light for you. You could even do the heater thing if you wanted to. You know, let's say you want to go out there at 8 o'clock, you can set up your night or evening automation, and it will turn on your devices. And like in this instance, if you had a heater on that ZWave switch, you could start preheating the room for you before you got there. So it's not super in-depth what you can do ZWave wise with the alarm system, but there are a few features here that can make life a little simpler. And the more variety of devices you have, the more options it's going to give you as well. So real quick, I'm going to go back into the advanced settings.
Enter user code.
And I don't have a way to show this to you, but there is a way to associate different devices with others. So right now, it has this Lifeline group name, and that is for like wellness stuff, and we don't actually have any of that tech here, so I don't have a way to show how you would associate this with, you know, ZWave devices. But basically, an association is just tying two devices together. So once you get a variety of ZWave devices added to your panel, you can come in here and associate them with each other so that they trigger each other or act off of one another, things like that. I don't have extensive knowledge on this stuff. I work much more heavily in the security side of alarm systems, but I thought it's kind of cool that even if you don't have service with the IQ panel, you can do a little bit of automation. You can set up simple devices like we did there, and it'll allow you to just activate them from the panel. And if you guys understand the association stuff and you have a decent variety of ZWave devices, you could probably set up a decent amount of automation just from the IQ panel itself. Now, a few things I do wish they would add is like maybe arming and disarming automation commands so that whenever you arm or disarm, it triggers certain devices. But that being said, I mean, you can, if you do, like I said, if you do have alarm.com, you can have this feature where you can control it from the IQ panel here. Even with alarm.com, like I said, I have alarm.com tied to this already, and I'm using this local automation. And if I went into my alarm.com app, since they're enrolled here, I could set up additional triggers through alarm.com to work with each other or work off of each other, things like that. So this is a bit of a shorter video. I'm not going in too deep on this stuff. I will show you the
Enter user code.
ZWave menu options real quick, just so that you know what all is there. But most of it is actually limitations on ZWave devices. So you can limit the number of each type of device. So all these numbers are at the default max for that type. So you can have 40 thermostats, 80 lights, 20 door locks, 21 other devices, and 6 garage doors. And if you wanted to limit that for some reason, you can come in here and do so, anywhere from the max down to 0. And if you scroll down, there are a couple options that change the way you can get to the ZWave menu. So allow master code ZWave settings. That allows you to come to this menu without having to enter the installer or the dealer code. And then the allow master code ZWave management, it allows you to manage devices using your master code rather than needing the installer or dealer code as well. And then automation actions, or access to automation, basically that allows whether or not devices can be activated from the panel. So if you turn that off, that card will go away, and you won't be able to do anything with it. But I wouldn't do that. Just leave it on unless you want it off for some reason. The next option either turns on or off the ZWave card completely. So if you turn that, it just depowers the ZWave card, so there's no ZWave access to the system whatsoever. And then the last one is advanced ZWave settings. So I have this turned on. It's off by default, but what it does is it actually adds a couple additional menus. So like this replace failed node, as well as the there was another one before we added devices where you can add and remove additional controllers. So like if you wanted to tie this system to another ZWave controller, you could do that, and vice versa. But basically that's what that option turns on, is those couple extra menu items. But that's pretty much it. There's not a whole lot to it. Like I said, you just enroll devices, and whatever you enroll, you can access from these front pages, and you can do that simple automation with them. And then that's the IQ ZWave in a nutshell. Now, don't let this stop you from like exploring the alarm.com with automation option. Alarm.com allows much more in-depth automation triggers, events, rules, things like that. So if you're really getting into the ZWave side of it, hook this up to alarm.com, get their automation package, and it will give you everything you need when it comes to ZWave devices. With alarm.com, you can even make triggers for the alarm system, activate things in ZWave, or vice versa. So, like for example, if you had a door lock, you can set the door lock up so that when you enter the door lock code, it actually disarms the system as well. So, I mean, some neat things you can do with it. It does depend on, like I said, the variety of ZWave devices that you have on the system. The more you have, the more you're going to be able to do. And as you saw, the number of devices you can have just on the IQ panel alone is exponential. I don't know who needs 40 thermostats, but if you do, this panel has you covered. But that's where I'm going to cut it off for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If there's anything more in-depth about ZWave you want to see, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to be moving on to some other devices that you can use along with the IQ panel, including the IQ Wi-Fi 6. This is a bit of a newer device. We did some beta testing with it not too long ago, but basically it is a router that has a security network specifically for like alarm.com cameras or IQ panels or anything security related that needs to be connected to Wi-Fi. So it's a really cool feature, and I'll be explaining that much more in depth when I get to that video. I'm still playing around with it and testing it though, so it might be a bit before I make that one. But we do have plenty of other devices that go along with this IQ panel that I can show, and I'm going to be showing how to set up a hardwired translator with it. I'm also going to see if I can get a couple Qolsys ZWave devices, because they have some interesting ones, like for example a ZWave siren. So it doesn't actually connect to your system using the security stuff. It actually uses ZWave to connect to the siren and basically just acts as a sound booster for the panel. So some interesting stuff they have there, and if there's anything in particular you guys have heard of or you want to see, let us know and I will try to cover it. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Please like and subscribe, it helps a lot. We try to get these videos out at least once a week, but it does get heavy here sometimes, so every bit of support you guys can give us on this channel helps exponentially. So I really appreciate the comments you guys do leave, and all of you out there that do watch our videos. So like I said, if you could like and subscribe, leave us a comment if you want to, and I will catch you guys on the next one.